Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Elizibar, and something feels wrong here. I'm like looking at this stuff that's in my I read it this week stack, and it looks pretty small. This doesn't look like the amount of stuff I've read this week. Maybe it's just been a weird week. I know I did take Tuesday off because that's protesting the basically YouTube passing on their costs to me. But let's see, we got and we're missing a video from Monday. That explains it. Yes, we got Black Hops. I did an unboxing. I did a commentary about customer service. El Crudo, a commentary about the DC Giants, Frowny Face, Vampirella, What's in Futures. Yeah, I guess this really is all that I read. Wow. I did not read that many comics this week, which I guess makes this pretty short, but the ones I did read, I think these are all pretty good. To one extent or another. We'll get this out of here. Let's see. We can take the Marvel spotlight out of here. This isn't even a real comic. It's just a thing. I'm just going to flop it over there on the floor. Go away. I'm not sure anything out of all this is below the threshold of okay. I think it all kind of meets it, except maybe Absolute Carnage. But even that was okay. It just let me down. It absolutely let me down. Let's see. Yeah, I guess we got to start there. We got to start there. So I've only got 6 books here. And now I'm trying to remember exactly what I said on stream for these two. I remember Vampirella. There's like this. It's weird, and it's disappointing, and tonally it's so strange. And there's so much of this book I can't even actually show you. But this nerd here, he just takes me completely out of the book when he's talking. He just kind of ruins it for me. But when she's flying around and stuff, she looks pretty cool. The villain that took over this random person's body, pretty cool. Especially how she kind of grew into the role of being that kid's mom in the span of no space. There's some good stuff in here. It's definitely above the threshold of okay. It feels weird to me in a way that I don't know that I can actually describe to you. At least that I haven't already described to you. We'll put this kind of at the bottom of the list. It's okay. It should have been better. I got the first issue of Vampirella I didn't like very much, and then I got hyped for it after that because it got a lot better. And this one is kind of like I'm back to I don't know. By that same token, Absolute Carnage should have been a complete oh yes, of course Elizibar loves this book. It's full of crazy, crazy stuff. Just look at the stuff that's going on these 2 pages. You got crazy flying dragon Carnage, flying Venom. You got the Avengers fighting off a horde of monsters. It's just full of crazy stuff all the way through. And then the ending isn't an ending at all. When you get to the end, it's in fact just a setup for the next miniseries. There's no resolution. There's no end. It's kind of the example I used was if you were in the early 90s and Marvel put out the Infinity Gauntlet and it ended at issue 4. And then a month later they announced, hey, Absolute Gauntlet. And it's 4 issues long and it has the contents of the last 2 issues of the Infinity Gauntlet. That's what this is. This is an incomplete story. This shouldn't have been a separate miniseries. This should have just been part of the Venom ongoing. I would have totally skipped it then. I thought I was getting an event, not a fraction of a storyline. So it's definitely kind of a letdown. And it's not like a fraction of a storyline the way that if you look at Claremont era X-Men, you had storylines that started here and kept going and other storylines that got resolved and new storylines starting and all that. This was promised to be, hey, Carnage is going crazy and he's going to resurrect the symbiote god or whatever, and the heroes have to stop him. And so instead of what happens is the heroes stop him, but it doesn't do anything. It's completely unsatisfying. Now this is probably going to be kind of harsh sounding. This is also in the okay bucket. It's right at the top. It's sitting right at the top of the pile, man. It is way up there. There's no other book like this except vaguely Black Ops, because this is about an ape soldier, an orangutan, man. He's a bad dude. This book didn't have as much carnage and violence as I expected in it, but what there is in there serves as like the prop for some heavy psychological stuff. There's like some really deep meaning in this. Sometimes the art serves the story really well. Sometimes it kind of falls down a little bit. I think as this artist grows, it's going to get a lot better. We also like see the bad guy who's running a drug lab, and very satisfying. It's only issue 2. You can read issue 1 on their website for free. I've also got a review of that out there. You can go check that out if you want to. But it is a pretty good book. And with a little more care, it could have went over the top of the okay line to the bottom of the awesome line. It just needed a little more in the art department, and I think it would have made it there. Alternately, if it had just been like what I was hoping, and the first 10 pages were just like absolute carnage, no reference intended. But if it had just been like him going through a bunch of VC soldiers or something, I think it would have been a much stronger book. Just over the threshold of awesome. Just an inch over it. Not maybe it's even right on the line. Was this Swamp Thing book? There's a lot of stuff I liked in here, and one thing that fell absolutely flat. The 2 news stories. This one really gets at the character of Swamp Thing, the nature of his relationship with people, how there are good people, bad people, that kind of stuff. It's part of the ongoing plot line that they're doing in the new material. Is good. It's a little horror-ish, but what's really horror-ish is the next story with this crazy dark carnival stuff. This was great. Just seeing a straight Swamp Thing horror story, pretty fantastic. The old reprinted story here from Lin Wine. Look at Swamp Thing's having to talk to the Shade, and he's like, "How do I kill a zombie?" And he's got to fight the zombie. Look at this, man. Look at this. What am I even looking at here? It's amazing. Uh, the Swamp Thing story is totally in the horror vein, and honestly, it kind of reminds me a bit of wow, I just blanked. Kolchak the Night Stalker. There's a Kolchak episode where he had to deal with a zombie, and he had to deal with it the same way by filling its mouth with salt and then sewing the lips shut. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool getting into that weird horror stuff. Then there's the Constantine story, which is just totally whatever. But I did like the art on the pages of Swamp Thing. I thought that looked pretty cool. Finally, the Zatanna story is it starts off like a superhero story, but then it turns into like this crazy dream combat stuff, and it is pretty dope from that perspective. This is some great looking, crazy stuff. I dug it. I dug that stuff a lot. So I think this one, if the Constantine story had been better, I think we would have went way past just like the uh, bare minimum of awesome. But we're just boom, just bare minimum of awesome right here. It's like the least publishable unit of awesome is contained in this book. Now, of course, being DC Comics, they had to somehow stretch that amount of work over 100 pages because, whatever. This book, I actually had to use a bigger bag to put it in. It wouldn't quite fit in one of my BCW bags, which is a weird situation. This is definitely next on the list. I didn't get to read Von Frisch yet this week. Not sure why, but this is next on the list. Once in Future number 4. The story, the crazy King Arthur, whatever. Our hero here, of course, he causes more trouble. He gets himself into danger. Look at the coloring here. Like this crazy magical stuff looks crazy and magical. I love this crazed, twisty panel layout that's going on that page. It's gorgeous. Things in the real world look a lot more mundane and real. I mean, it's still a little too bright, but the blues are kind of toning it down. And we get a sense of all the background and stuff that have gone into these characters' lives, the relationships they have, that sort of thing. It's a good story. For a series whose first issue I really didn't like, I'm glad I stuck with it. I'm glad I kept going because Once in Future continues to be a pretty darn good book. Whether you're talking Kieran Gillen's writing, or the art by Dan Mora, or the coloring from Tamara Bonvillain, it's all pretty good stuff. Even if Tamara Bonvillain would probably say unpleasant things about me. I mean, That happens. Number one. Yeah. There'll be a review going up on this later today. Black Ops Volume 2, Hair Trigger. There's Hair Trigger. So it's basically like Metal Gear Solid, except instead of Solid Snake, you're sending actual animals in. The art's fantastic in both sides. There's two different artists in here telling two different stories. Look at that. I love Tim Lim's art. It has this weird dynamicism to it that it feels anime inspired. It feels like I'm looking at manga or anime, but it doesn't. And I don't know how to explain that. It does something in like my frontal lobe that makes it go, "Yes, this art is pleasing to my eyes. Please continue looking at it, human being." The backside story, you got Penelope here having to fight a chupacabra. Hold on, let me flip open to the chupacabra. Boom! You've got Penelope's Black Ops' handler. There's a story about Patriotter. It's all good. It's all well written. It all looks great. All these people should be making a lot more money than they are. They should be making a whole lot more money than they are. Their books are criminally underrated. Black Ops has been fantastic. Everything by Tim Lim has been fantastic. Let's see. And Matt Weldon's art has been. It continues to be great. I love what he does with hair, by the way. There's something about the way his hair looks that it feels very natural because it has a tangle to it. Let me flip back to a page that has There's one panel I want to show specifically. That's not the panel I was looking for, but this will do. This kind of gets it across pretty well. Oh wow, that little damage on my book is on this side too. I'll have to take pictures of these and send it out. That's kind of annoying. That's my only complaint about the book, aside from the square bound. But look at her hair. That's exactly what I'm talking about, man. He knows how to do hair that looks good. Anyway, I'm not gonna take up any more of your time. This went a lot longer talking about these books than I thought it would. But I guess when you've only got like 6 books, it's easy to spend time talking about each one, and before you know it, you spend a lot of time talking about it. You all have a great day. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I sure hope to see you again next time. And until then, bye bye.